And the Congress upping the ante in the national capital. Now the Mahila Congress committee is protesting outside the BJP headquarters against the suspension of MPs from Parliament. Earlier in the day, we saw all top Congress leaders and MPs gather in protest outside Parliament very close to the statue of Mahatma Gandhi in the Parliament premises. But these are visuals coming in from right outside the BJP headquarters, where you have the Mahila Congress committee workers and members protesting against the suspension of the obstructionist disrupted MPs by the Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan. Aditya Rajkol joins us with more details. Yes, Aditya.
Well, absolutely, this protest continues right outside, in fact, the BJP headquarters. The Mahila Congress is protesting against the suspension of 25 Member of Parliament in the Lok Sabha. In fact, there was a lot of ruckus in both the houses. The House has not been functioning normally. In fact, this morning also, the Congress protested right outside the Gandhi statue, both Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. And in fact, also the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh coming in. And now Mahila Congress protesting right outside the BJP headquarters. Heavy security arrangements have been made. And also Prime Minister Narendra Modi's effigy that is being burned by the Mahila Congress. Only a handful of protesters visible, but the Congress says that they are going to up the ante at least for the next 5 days, which is the suspension period of these MPs. In fact, we are told that tomorrow NSUI and Youth Congress will also be protesting in regard to their demand, and also protesting vehemently with what they call is an undemocratic exercise for the suspension of their MPs. They have been camping and in fact saying that not enough has been done by the government against the Vyapam scam and Lalit Gate. They say these are the most important issues on which the government should have taken action. But certainly it is the entire political class that has to take the blame and share the blame for the parliament not being functioning, and the exchequers, crores that are being lost and going down the drain even as the parliament does not function.
Aditya, you sent us a report from down on ground. Let's play that out.
Even as the parliament logjam continues and 25 of the Congress MPs have been suspended, right behind me you can see outside the BJP headquarters, the Congress's Mahila Morcha has in fact protested. They are protesting. In fact, there are heavy security arrangements that have been made by the Delhi police and the paramilitary forces. The protesters are raising slogans against Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the entire Modi government. The Congress's blame and charge is that the BJP government and its allies have not let the parliament function in the last few weeks. In fact, several crores have been wasted and have gone down the drain, even as several important bills have been pending. The Congress is saying that it is the Vyapam scam and Lalit Gate that the BJP government needs to respond on. But even as this protest continues right behind me here outside the Ashok Road headquarters of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the big question is, even as 25 of the Congress's MPs have been suspended, what exactly will lead to a consensus for the steady and smooth functioning of the parliament? But at this moment it seems, at least for the next 5 days when the suspension of the Congress MPs will remain, the parliament may not function normally as is being predicted. Samajwadi Party and the TMC have been supporting the Congress's protest against the BJP. In fact, this morning Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also came out raising slogans against BJP and saying it was completely undemocratic fashion in which the 25 Congress MPs were suspended. But right outside here in BJP, the Congress is trying to raise an alarm against the BJP government, even as the question remains, when exactly will the parliament function smoothly? Reporting from Delhi with video journalist Gopal Dutt Sharma, this is Aditya Rajkol for Times Now.
Well, based on that ground report, Aditya, there is enough police bandobast. But have you been able to speak to any of the Mahila Congress leaders? What do they have to say? What are the kinds of slogans that they were chanting there at this point in time? Or is it just to score some political eyeballs? Because the Congress is also facing criticism for not allowing the parliament to function.
Well, absolutely, Anand. As you rightly pointed out, it's not just the government and the Bharatiya Janata Party which shares the blame for the parliament not to function, but also the Congress party and all the opposition parties who have raised the slogans inside the parliament. It's one thing protesting outside, but it's another completely different thing if you do not let the parliament function. And several important bills, including the GST, have been pending for a very long time. And that's what the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has also been claiming. Here outside the BJP headquarters, the Congress trying to up the ante but certainly it's turning out to be a damn squib because there are only 50 to 60 protesters from the Mahila Congress who have been protesting. But the Congress, on its part, in its defense, says that no, in the next 4 to 5 days, they are going to up the ante. In fact, tomorrow we are hearing that NSUI as well as Youth Congress will be holding separate protests outside the BJP headquarters, and that will be followed by a protest by the 25 MPs who have been suspended. But the question also is...
Does that actually stand out, Aditya? Because is the Congress not able to try and muster, get the kind of support that it feels that it can for the kind of disruptionist tactics that it is undertaking? Is it actually does it actually have the backing of other parties and even within its own party of all for the kind of tactics that it is employing, that is stall parliament on the one side and try and show that it is actually upping the ante and escalating protests on ground, whereas the numbers are quite handful. And the fact is that these MPs, it's after 8 days of bearing with their disruptionist tactics and their methods of running into the well, showing posters and placards, that the Lok Sabha Speaker has taken action against them.
Absolutely. It's the Speaker which has taken action, and that is why they cannot question on the basis of a bias, which could be, that's what they are saying. But at this moment, we have seen just a few months back, it was a completely different story when on the land acquisition bill, Congress could muster some courage. In fact, we know that the protest that Sonia Gandhi led of the different opposition parties from Parliament House to Rashtrapati Bhavan. But just a few months down the line, on the issue of Vyapam scam and also Lalit Gate, not much is being done by the Congress party. They are not being able to muster enough support. In fact, we were told that yesterday there were meetings with the Samajwadi Party, with the JDU, and also with the NCP and some other political parties, but not much support. Only the SP and the TMC have supported them as of now. But we were told that this morning there were separate negotiations with the BJP also. Several of the allies of the BJP have also been approached that this is a massive scam, be it the Lalit Gate or the Vyapam scam. But clearly not enough support down on ground. We were told that it will be a massive support here, support and a protest outside the BJP headquarters led by the Congress. But it is turning out to be a damn squib. Not many
you said not more than 50 to 60 Mahila Congress workers are there at this point. But one would have thought that the Congress would have wanted to get back into the House and into the well to discuss and debate, because the government has more or less relented to most of their demands. They are ready to discuss, debate the Vyapam scam and also Lalit Gate. They are even ready to consider a Prime Minister's statement on the floor of the House if the opposition so demands it after discussion. They have almost consented to most of the clauses, most of the issues that were raised on the land bill. Now, these are legislations that require to be passed, including the GST. So one would have thought that the Congress would have wanted to score victory on the floor of the House rather than resort to these disruptionist and protest tactics, because this is further stalling business in Parliament. One more day gone when there is not much that's happened in Parliament.
That's the important question, because there were 3 important demands of the Congress party, and that's what the BJP government has agreed to. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and several of the top leaders of the BJP have maintained that the discussion on these issues would be allowed inside the Parliament. In fact, if need be, Prime Minister Narendra Modi could speak about the issue, and also Sushma Swaraj, the excellent...
Well, that was a reaction coming in from some of the protesting Mahila Congress workers there at this point in time. But the question also remains who's being arrogant and who's being adamant. The government and the BJP, as the Congress is accusing, or the Congress party saying that no matter what, we will not allow the House to function. Earlier in the day, top leaders also took to the streets to protest against the BJP, with Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi leading the charge.
सरकार की ड्यूटी बनती है पार्लियामेंट को चलाना है, और जिस तरीके से उन्होंने हमारे मेंबर्स को सस्पेंड किया वो एंटी डेमोक्रेटिक है। और मेरे हिसाब से जो मैं समझती हूँ लोकतंत्र का हत्या हो रहा है आज का।
हमारे 25 सांसद सिर्फ एक सिंबल हैं, क्योंकि जो हमारे 25 सांसदों के साथ किया जा रहा है वो पूरे हिंदुस्तान में किया जा रहा है। वो कॉलेज स्टूडेंट्स के साथ किया जा रहा है, इंटरनेट पे किया जा रहा है, पूरे हिंदुस्तान के इंस्टीट्यूशन से किया जा रहा है, किसानों के साथ किया जा रहा था। मैं अपने कार्यकर्ताओं से, देश की जनता से कहना चाहता हूं, हम इनके सामने जमीन के मामले पे कांग्रेस पार्टी इनके सामने खड़ी हुई। इन्होंने बहुत आवाजें की, बहुत धमकियां दी, बहुत चिल्लाए और फिर घूम के भाग गए। इसी प्रकार से इनको हम करप्शन के मामले पे, व्यापम के मामले पे, राजस्थान के सीएम के मामले पे और सुषमा स्वराज जी के मामले पे हम इन पे प्रेशर नहीं कम करेंगे। चाहिए हम सबको पार्लियामेंट से उठा के फेंक दें, पार्लियामेंट में हमें अंदर वापस ना जाने दें, बाकी देश बचा हुआ है, हम इनको पूरे देश में घेरेंगे। द व्यापम स्कैम has destroyed the future of thousands and thousands of young people in Madhya Pradesh. I think there is clear evidence that Sushma Swaraj ji has broken the law. And I will repeat this again, that Sushma Swaraj ji has broken the law. There is clear evidence that the Chief Minister of Rajasthan is directly involved financially with Mr. Lalit Modi. I am not asking for their resignation. The Congress party is not asking for their resignation. The people of India are asking for their resignation. I have said it again. I'll say it again. I've said it before. That I am only trying to explain to the Prime Minister the voice of the people of this country. The Prime Minister has a habit of speaking his voice. मन की बात करने की उनकी आदत है। हिंदुस्तान की मन की बात भी वो सुन ले एक बार।
Suspension of as many as 25 members of the Congress party is no way of resolving issues which the Congress party has raised before the country, before the government and before Parliament. If we want the Parliament to run smoothly, there is the responsibility of the government to take into account the concerns that we have been voicing now for 1.5 months, that certain ministers whose conduct is not in line with the traditions of parliamentary life, that two chief ministers who have presided over in affair which has brought shame to all of us. So I think we are just fully justified in saying, in demanding that these ministers should be asked to submit their resignation.